Welcome back to another episode of the Casey Campbell Podcast. Casey Campbell with you, of course. And we are pleased to be joined by the president of the Detroit Grand Prix, Mike Montri, who is, of course, live from Indianapolis for the Indy 500 weekend. Indy 500 month of May stuff. But Mike, how are you?
I'm great. Casey. We're, like you said, over here in Indy and qualifying this weekend. Today's Fast Friday, and qualifying starts tomorrow at 12, and always an exciting weekend. And of course, leading in, to an exciting Detroit Grand Prix now with the recent announcement by the governor that we'll be able to fill the grandstand. So we're thrilled. We're excited.
Yeah. So if you haven't heard the announcement that you guys put out this morning, as it will be full capacity for the Detroit Grand Prix for the June 11th through 13th weekend, featuring the NTT Data IndyCar Series. For the first time since 2012, we'll have the Indy Lights Series presented by Cooper Tires, as well as the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship on the island from June 11th through June 13th. Mike, I gotta ask you. A few weeks ago, I didn't think we would get full grandstands and stuff. I think the original plan was 6,000 to 9,000 fans, and now it looks like we're ready to go.
Yeah, we're thrilled that we're going to be able to fill the grandstands. One thing, Casey, I'll say that when we build the venue out on Belle Isle, we start this planning the day after the checkered flag. So literally this year, June 14th, we'll start planning for next year. Right. And as you can imagine, after months and months and months of planning for reduced capacity, and then starting our build out on May 3rd this year, we had already planned and built that we were going to have a reduced capacity. So a couple caveats, you just want to make sure that everybody's clear. We won't have the regular number of grandstands there. We won't have general admission grandstands. And so, the capacity that we're talking about will still be reduced. Yeah. But the grandstands that we do have there, grandstands 1, grandstands 2, both reserved, will be full, right? We're able to sell those 100%. And then we are able to have general admission, which originally under the governor's orders from a few months ago that came out around Detroit Tigers opening day, we could not have general admission ticket goers during that time. So we planned this event in kind of 3 different phases. One of them was where we couldn't have general admission and we could only have 20% of the grandstands. Then she came out with her additional guidance around the golf tournaments and festivals, which included us. And that allowed for general admission. And then, of course, now this latest one where we can fill the grandstand. So while we will be able to sell as many tickets as we can, we want to make sure it's a good environment. We want to make sure it's a good experience for all the guests. And so, a couple things as far as those general admission ticket goers. I just want to make sure that everybody has the expectation that we're going to have some viewing platforms up and some really interesting areas to watch from in turns 8, 9, and 10, and on the backstretch turns in between turn 6 and 7. But it won't quite be the full general admission grandstands that people are used to. So,
okay. So how many fans are you guys expecting on the island?
Yeah, I would say we're still only going to be, probably 30% of where we typically are. So, you're probably somewhere between 10 and 15,000 a day now.
Okay. Yeah. That's good.
Absolutely. No, look, it's great. It's great.
Yeah. Couple things. Paddock access, is that still going to be the same? And I know that this has been a question as well. To talk about, masks and distancing requirements as well.
Yeah.
Some of them will still be in effect.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of shooting at a moving target here as far as the guidance, and we're going to follow whatever guidance is required and recommended by the state at the time of our event. Okay. And that, again, is somewhat of a moving target. But where we sit right now is that if you are in an outdoor event, you do not have to wear a mask. And obviously we qualify as an outdoor event. We'll still do all of, the social distancing that's required as far as standing in lines and making sure if you're not vaccinated that we're going to have to rely on our guests, if you're not vaccinated, to keep your distance from groups of people. But we're going to follow whatever guidance is out there at the time.
You talk about non-vaccinated. How are you guys gonna know who is and who isn't? Because I think that's just a question generally with everybody. I mean, you are fully
Yeah.
vaccinated, I am, but how do we know who is and who isn't on the island? Well, and how are people going to know that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. And I've been summing it up this way, Casey, that really the experience that we want and the feeling that we want to portray is, to oversimplify it, is almost like going to the grocery store, right? When you go to the grocery store, it's an accepted practice these days. It feels safe, but they're not necessarily taking temperatures or checking vaccination cards at the door to get into the grocery store.
Right.
And we're going to be much the same.
Okay. Big weekend for you guys. I know that, fans will have access, to drivers and stuff. And how's that going to be? Because, as probably you can see in Indy, fans are having some access to drivers and, autographs, pictures. Will it be the same thing when we get to the island?
Yeah, and again, it's all rapidly evolving here, but we will have an open paddock. So anybody who has a ticket or a pass to the Grand Prix, just like in 2019, will have access to get into the paddock, which is the locker room of motorsports, for both the IMSA and the IndyCar series. So they'll be able to get in there, get up close, not too close. We'll have to figure out again as the guidance evolves here over the next couple of weeks exactly how we manage that. But the bottom line is that we'll have an open paddock and people will be able to get in there and get closer to the teams than they would have if they weren't allowed in the paddock, right?
All right. Of course, there's a lot of big storylines coming there, drivers that are coming there, you've gotten, Formula One drivers, NASCAR champions, an Australian supercar champion. You got a lot of big names coming out of the island this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, no. And the biggest name probably for the US motorsport fan is Jimmy Johnson, right? And I'll tell you, I admire what he's doing. He basically has said, I know I'm going to competitively struggle in this car, but it's something that I've always wanted to do in my career, and I'm going to do it for myself. And he has gone out and fought every week, and got out on that track and running with IndyCar open wheel drivers that have been doing this their entire lives. And he's just doing it for the fun, and he's really enjoying what he's doing. And I respect the heck out of what he's doing. And then, the other ones you mentioned, Romain Grosjean, who's going to be with us. He spent 10 years in Formula One, and Scott McLaughlin, who's coming with us from Australia. And he was with Team Penske in Australia as the Supercars champion the last couple of years. So great line, not to mention, Scott Dixon, Joseph Newgarden, and all the other stars that typically come every year. A great class of rookies and a great lineup of drivers. Our international exposure in the IndyCar series, because of all those drivers and new names, I'll tell you, we're real popular in France with Romain. With Rinus VeeKay winning last week, all of a sudden in the Netherlands, we're pretty popular, right? And then Australia, all three of those regions, not to mention New Zealand with Scott Dixon and Scott McLaughlin being from there originally, very, very popular in the international markets right now. So
we got Kevin Magnussen in the IMSA series as well. Of course, he drove in Formula One, and also you have all these talented stars in Indy Lights who could be in IndyCar, like Linus Lindquist. So you got Kyle Kirkwood, Robert McGinnis, David Malukas, who is leading the points right now for the HMD team. So how exciting is it to have the Indy Lights series back for the first time since I think 2012?
It's really cool. I mean, it's for our fans. It's the up and coming drivers, like the ones that you would know that are household names now in IndyCar. A lot of them came through Indy Lights series in the road to Indy. Pato O'Ward, who won in Texas, Rinus VeeKay, who won last week here on the Grand Prix track at Indy, Joseph Newgarden, series champion, Simon Pagenaud came up through there and the Formula Atlantics at the time, but just a number of stars that are currently making really strong headway in the IndyCar series came through the road to Indy, and it's really cool that we get to expose all of those up and comers from today to our fans, so that they can come back to Belle Isle years and years from now and say, I remember that guy when he drove in Indy Lights, and I saw him then, it's just kind of a cool little, it'd be like going to, Tiger Stadium and watching a Mud Hens game, and then the Mud Hens leave the field, and then the Tigers come on, and it's just kind of that type of an analogy. It's pretty cool.
Of course. Hey, I know we're a little short on time, but I want to ask you two more things. First off, Corvettes back on the island, first time since 2008. And then, of course, explain how free pre-day is going to work.
Yeah, no, absolutely. The Corvettes, we're really excited to have them back. Of course, they usually overlap with Le Mans. And this year with Le Mans moving to later in the year because of COVID in France, we were able to get the Corvettes, the CR8s on the island. Really excited. There's going to be a pretty exciting unveiling too that I'm not quite at liberty to go into detail about yet, but keep your eyes open for that one on the Corvette side. And then as far as the free pre-day, Comerica free pre-day, really excited to be able to bring that back. It's going to look a little different this year because of contact tracing and all that stuff. When we started putting tickets on sale, we can't really open the gates and let everybody in. But tickets are free. You just have to register to get them.
Okay.
And we are having a limited number of tickets this year just because of everything we're going through with the pandemic and coming right out of it. But we were previously sold out of Comerica free pre-day tickets. But with this latest announcement with the governor, we'll put, an extra few thousand on sale on Monday for free. You just need to go into our DetroitGP.com website and register for the tickets.
All right. Mike Montri, from the president of the Detroit Grand Prix, thank you for coming on. And remember, the Detroit Grand Prix, June 11th through June 13th. Get your tickets at DetroitGP.com.
Thanks, Casey. Appreciate it.